Good evening and welcome to the Thursday edition of Hog Talk Podcast, presented to you by FanDuel, live from the Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe and Buzz Radio Network, where you can hear us on 106.7 Buzz 2 in Central Arkansas. All live shows are presented to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I am Porter Hayes, and alongside me, as always, is Adam Hall. And on tonight's show, we will break down our thoughts on the Memphis game, and we'll have a little talk to Hunter Yurachek, the athletic director, solely based on his comments that he made at the Little Rock Touchdown Club. But first, we'll get into this Memphis game. Adam, I've watched some film. I've listened to the coaches' press conference. Granted, it was on Monday, I believe, Monday, Tuesday, pre how they have been able to game plan for Taylon Green. But what do you think are your overall thoughts coming into this game against Memphis on Saturday?
I really haven't dwelled on it very much. And this is no shot at Memphis or anything, but I felt like Arkansas should have been, a little butthurt, if you will, like for the line to only have been 6.5 when it first came out. And I think you said earlier it was down to 5.5, or was it still at 6.5?
7.5 currently right now.
But the fact I get it's in Memphis.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm just kind of like, I don't see it. And like we talked about before the show, maybe it is truly because of Arkansas's defense. There's a number of things that it could be. It's one of those I think you and I have talked about that feel like a 17-ish point win is kind of what's needed in this. Kind of previously, when we talked Arkansas State game, if they needed to win by 3 scores for this to not be considered, a loss in our book in the sense of overall play. This is a game that I don't feel like Arkansas should have any problems with. And it's one of those things that I feel like if you do struggle in this game, if you do show issues, then that raises even more questions.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see what happens on Saturday, but at the same time, I don't feel like this game should be close.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And, watching and when I say watch film, I've watched the highlights of the 3 wins that Memphis had. And, they've had some good up the middle runs, which I have confidence in our D-line. When I talk about the defense of Arkansas, it's the back end. It's the back half of the defense. Where I am concerned is some of the passes that they were completing. It was those lob balls in the air, 30, 40 yards down the field, and they were catching. That could be a problem. But if Arkansas has tightened those things up on defense and they shut that part down, I have full confidence in the D-line. I don't see them outscoring Arkansas. Now, when I say, they're probably going to get their points, but you see what happened against Ole Miss. It took a fumble for them to not have a chance to win the game. It was a late, fumble. Ole Miss got it, ran out the clock. Also, watching the Georgia State game, Georgia State was able to get pressure on Memphis and even got a safety. So, those things right there, yes, Arkansas has to get pressure. I'm not too concerned about this. And it's crazy because as this episode goes on, you're going to see us kind of transition to a more negative conversation. But it's crazy, Adam, that we're having a conversation where I'm sitting here saying this is going to be a 21-point victory for Arkansas, but I'm very concerned about SEC play. I'm very concerned about, who are they going to replace? Because we have both as wins. 5-win team, we have this as a win. There's a lot of hype on Taylon Green. He is a very talented player. Now, do I think he's a very dynamic player, but he's going to have better pocket presence and pocket throws for where I say he is a legit Heisman contender, because we're going to see this when you get in the SEC play that you're going to have to step your game up a little bit. This isn't the whole, yes, it was Ole Miss. You picked them apart. Their defense was top 20 pass defense. The running game was 119, 114 or something like that in the country. So their defense wasn't that impressive. I'll say this, and I put it out there. I think how Arkansas went to the Ole Miss game having that big game under their belt, they knew how to scheme for Arkansas. They were ready for Arkansas. This is the same way in reverse. Memphis has played some cupcake teams, even to their standards, and Arkansas has already had that true test against Ole Miss. I don't think this is a close game. This is no disrespect to Memphis. I just do not think they have the defense the way I was seeing Finley run all over that team. And I'm trying to think of the other Troy and Georgia State, the way they were able to just kind of play around with the defense for a little bit. Yes, talent and depth overcame at the end, but that Georgia State game was not that close. I mean, or it wasn't that far off. I think it was like 35-16 or something like that. And they added a late touchdown at the end to go up 35-16. But I don't think they have the defensive depth to hang with Arkansas. And it could be even more than 21. I'm just going conservative 21-point win. I might get grilled for it. That's just my opinion on just based off how potent this offense is.
And, we talk about level of competition, like with Arkansas's first two games. And, looking at Memphis and their schedule or whatever, like you won 28-7 against Troy. You won 38-16 against Georgia State. But just think about that competition level.
Yeah.
And I kind of look at that. It's like, yeah, you won those games by double digits. But at the same time, who were you playing?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a much larger talent gap between Arkansas and the two teams they played than Memphis and the two teams, those two teams that we were just talking about. I know they've played three. So this is something that, it's in Memphis, but, hop, skip, and a jump away, I expect the stadium to be, overtaken by Razorback fans.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens there. But, this is one I feel like from start to finish, it should be like no doubt Arkansas in control. And like we've talked about too, I still think that even with the lesser competition, you still take the ball first if you have the opportunity in this game. Mm-hmm. You still get your offense on the field and start the game out on a high note. They've done it several times since last year, and I think that that's what you do here on out. I don't think you put this defense on the field first.
Yeah, this is a top-rated offense. I think they're graded as the top-rated offense in the country. This is what we haven't seen this in a very long time. This is the Bobby Petrino offense that we're used to. You have a good running game. Your tight ends are at play. You have your cross. It's what I've been preaching for the last 3 years of what we need out of the offense. You need a deep threat, Blake. You need crossing routes, and you need to get your tight ends more involved. They've been able to do that the first 3 games. Granted, it didn't work out, and you had the fumble. And that's the one thing that scares me is what I mentioned on Sunday was you're forcing Arkansas to play perfect ball. I don't put that in the hands of the offense on that because they did their job. And yes, the fumble cost them the game, whatever. If you want to say in that scenario, the fumble cost them the game because, of course, you could have drove down, scored, and whatnot. But overall, it was the defense that just let them. I mean, you let a backup quarterback torch you, and you let the guy that come in with one leg convert a key 3rd and 8, which led to a score. Watching this, their quarterback is Brendan Lewis. He has 608 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and then he also has 190 yards rushing. Sutton Smith is their big time running, long of 40. And again, he is a very shifty back. I mean, the defensive line is going to have to close the middle because if he finds a hole, he will get through there and make some big gains. But that's where I think Arkansas is going to be able to get some kind of pressure on this offensive line. Because all it takes is one time you cause a fumble or you sack them behind the line. What is a 3rd and 3 or a 2nd and 3? Now it's a 3rd and 8, or they're kicking a field goal and you move them out of field goal position. That's going to be the key to this game is can the defensive line get pressure? And there was another comment. It was talking about going tip. I don't think Memphis has got the offense to go tit for tat for Arkansas. I don't think they do. So we need a big. Go ahead.
No, I was just, I mean, looking at the comparisons here, and this is this early in the season, and the talent or the talent level of the teams being played. It's kind of hard to really gauge how well these teams, when you're looking down at the FBS rankings, overall defense, overall offense, scoring, this, that, and the 3 games in, it's hard to really determine, because I mean, there's even something in, Arkansas is 107th in defensive third down percentage, allowing opponents to convert 44%. Memphis ranks 37th, converting on 4. So it's things like that I would rather see than points per game, yards per game, just because the teams that each of these have played have been subpar, more or less. But I would rather see those statistics on third down conversions and defense stopping them and things like that. It's just still one of these things to me that I don't think you can. It's kind of like the stat comparisons this early in the season, seeing player for player, quarterback for quarterback, running back, it's really hard for me to compare these two because of who they've played. And we're only a few games in, 7, 8, 9 games in, you might have a better idea of it. But this is a game that I don't think you worry about things like that. But like you're talking about with the field goals and the stops, I do think that things like getting stops on third downs is going to be big in any game, especially one like this. And if you're Arkansas and you have to kick field goals, do you trust your kicker at this point?
Yeah.
Did some of that last game, the two misses, does that make you shy away from using him? Or do you trot him out there at the first chance against Memphis? You're on the road. You have a little bit better crowd support in a game like that. You're not in an SEC stadium, to try to gain his confidence back. There's a lot of things in play in this game that I think can either help you or hurt you for the foreseeable future going into SEC play.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And, talking about, Taylon Green and, carrying, yes, he, but you know what? If you're a Heisman caliber quarterback, that is your job. You carry this team. You were the leader of this offense. This is your second year with the team. That is your expectation. And the more hype you get, the more accolades you get, the more responsibility is going to be put on your shoulders. Now, this is saying they play perfect ball. He has no interceptions and all this stuff. They start turning the ball over. If he throws 2 picks, or, even in the Ole Miss game where there was a couple of times where he could have got picked off. You got to watch out for those. I mean, a team like this, you don't want to play safe, but if the throw's not there, throw it away or run out of bounds. You do not want to give a team like this any kind of momentum to change the trajectory of the game. And if you do that, that's where you win it handily. Now, going to T-Will, the defense, and yeah, they're going to have to adjust. I mean, that's just because you're going to have to play this like an SEC game, because from here on out, you have SEC teams, Notre Dame SEC teams waiting for you. So, as we said, the dress rehearsals of Arkansas State, Alabama A&M was a dress rehearsal for the Ole Miss game. This game right here is dress rehearsal for the rest of the season, because you got one game, and then I believe you got a bye after the Notre Dame game. And then you go play a couple more games, and then you got another bye for the end of the season. So you've got 3 acts. The first act rolling out. Now we're at the first act after the Notre Dame game. Then Act 2 starts, and then Act 3 finishes out the season. So I don't know what your score prediction is, if you do a score prediction or whatnot. I don't know. As potent as this offense is, I mean, I'm saying it's going to be like a 42-21, 49-28 game, maybe 49-21, where I will expand like the best case scenario for Arkansas. But unless I'm totally wrong on what I'm seeing and how confident I am in the offense, that's where I have it right now.
I'm going to go 41-17 Arkansas, because I think you're going to score, 5 touchdowns. And then I'm going to give Starzyk 2 field goals to I'm not going to say redeem himself because that game is done and gone, but get back in some sort of good graces of folks. So I'll roll with 41-17 Arkansas. Maybe the defense wakes up a little bit. We can hope, or at least get some kind of confidence before Notre Dame comes to Fayetteville. Because here's the thing: the last time, which was in the recent past, that Notre Dame lost the first 2 games of the season, they finished the season 10-0 to finish the season 10-2. So just because Notre Dame lost their first 2 games, they've proven before that does not matter. So it's one of those that, it's one of those that, they're going to look to redeem their first 2 games, and, they'll have this one to get under their belt, and then they'll have Arkansas. So I expect a pissed off Notre Dame to come into Fayetteville.
Mm-hmm. Well, and on another thing, this Memphis game, for those talking about that War Memorial game, I mean, this is pretty much a second War Memorial game. You're going to Memphis. So all the people in Southern Arkansas, Southeast Arkansas, Northeast Arkansas, Eastern Arkansas can easily make the trip to this game. So this gives you another chance to fill the stadium up, show them that you still have faith in this team, which granted you should. We'll get into the rest of that after our quick break, but you should support the team, and you want an extra chance to see them. This is your chance. It's right across the river. Memphis, to me, I'm like with you, it's baffling. We played, you're making a big deal about having to play Arkansas State and Little Rock, but you're playing Memphis first in Memphis. I think this should have been this should have been a game in Fayetteville. And then 100%. The next game you play. Just my opinion on that.
I think. I don't agree. Like with some of these bigger teams, I thought it was dumb that OU went to Temple.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of dumb when some of these SEC teams give in to the lesser opponents to go play at their stadiums. Or
look at Iowa State. They went to Jonesboro last week, and you've seen how they played. I mean, and I guess in the back of my mind, we have to do that as a factor. Where's the chip? We're talking about chips on shoulders and stuff. We asked Stephen Willis about, Lane Kiffin's chip on his shoulder. Where is Memphis's chip on the shoulder going to be of proving they can beat an SEC team? I want to say, let me see, where somebody had put out because I was putting out my thoughts, and the last 7 Memphis games versus Power 4 or 5 teams in the Liberty Bowl, they have won all of them except a bowl game against Iowa State in 2017, 21-20. But since 2015, they've beaten Ole Miss, ranked 13th, blew out Kansas, beat UCLA 48-45, beat Ole Miss again in 2019, Mississippi State 21, and then Iowa State was a bowl game 36-26. That was their last win, or the last game against a Power 4, Power 5 team at home. So you got to keep that in mind. It's going to take a lot to sway. And again, per FanDuel, the current line right now, which has not moved at all. I think it started out at 7.5. Arkansas is still a 7.5 point favorite, and the over under is 60.5 points. So another high scoring game. What they're predicting. Last week, it would have been good if you took the over, and I think this one would be it might be on the fringe, but I would still take both of those if I'm betting on this game.
I think in this, if I was just going to do one, I would just do the over on it, just to play somewhat safe. But it is what it is.
What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break here from our word from our sponsor, Vision Exteriors, and then we will get into our talk with the athletic director, Hunter Yurachek, after the break. Looking to enhance your home's curb appeal? Look no further than Vision Exteriors. As your trusted roofing, siding, and exterior experts, we're here to transform your property. Our skilled team ensures your job is not only functional, but also aesthetically pleasing. Along with roofing, we also offer window, gutter, and siding installation to boost your home's appearance with our quality options. Visit us at www.visionexteriors.com or call us at 479-397-4770. Let's make your vision a reality. And welcome back to the Hog Talk podcast, and get into the juicy stuff now, Adam. I've really been churning on this last couple of days. I know a lot of people's given their opinion on it. But to me, it seems like the more and more I hear about things, and when we dug up stuff and what we've heard, we're going to play a couple of clips here in a minute and then break into it. But his comments of they're because what baffled me is you're saying that you're not set up to win a national championship, but you're set up really good to compete in the SEC. That to me is an oxymoron. Because if you're able to compete in the SEC and then you got your sounding board predicting 8-9 wins, Alabama almost made the college football playoff last year with 9 wins. So theoretically, if it wasn't for the ACC championship game going another route or Syracuse beating Miami, Alabama's in the college football playoff at 9 wins. To me, with the expansion and everything, if Arkansas plays this out and they win 9 wins this season, they're going to be college football playoff. So the statements at the time when the heat is already on you, and that's why the following day I put the question of the day out: who's hot seat is who's on the hottest seat right now? T. Will, Hunter, or Sam? For him to come out and say that really was like, if you got Mike Irwin saying you're in a 4th lane, you're looking for another job, or you already have another job secure. That was the biggest alarm, because he is one of the ones that has just been right down the middle. For him to go off the exit lane and come out and make that statement, everybody's baffled by it. I didn't like it. And I'm tired of the excuses, because you're the ones that had a head start on all this. You're complaining about that you can't do your job. You don't even have a sponsor for your stadium. And then you go to the Little Rock Touchdown Club, which, granted, I don't know if anybody's even thought about this, Adam. This is one of the things you knew you had this speaking engagement, this interview months in advance. This isn't something on the spot you got asked about after a game. You knew what the questions were going to be like. You knew what Baz was going to say. You knew what he was going to talk to you about. And for him to fumble that badly, and then I feel bad for Sam, because then you got him the next day having to go on an SEC teleconference and explain and defend what he said, which head coach should. And then it makes you wonder, what's the thing that we've really knocked Sam Pittman for the past 2 years on? Well, I don't know. Well, what if he doesn't know because the guy above him don't care about the football team?
It's something that, we've had concern with for a little while now. And it's something that I hate to say that I'm glad it's happening, because I'm not. But at the same time, I'm glad that Hunter Yurachek has made these comments. For the simple fact that it just makes it more glaring what we have been saying and what a lot of us already think, in that he's checked out. He's got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I mean, you already kind of know that when you're interviewing for other jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Because why would you be interviewing for other jobs if you were happy in the job that you're currently in? So it's one of those things, but kind of like you were saying, you knew that this was coming. You knew that you were going to be asked questions at the Little Rock Touchdown Club. You chose to talk about, the SEC championships that you've had in the past however many years versus Missouri, 38-0 across all sports. But let's be clear here. You're 2-9 against Missouri in football since 2014. So when we talk about the sports, and I don't mean, okay, I'm just going to say the big 3.
Yeah.
So in the biggest of them all, you have a 2-9 record against Missouri, and you chose to try to poke fun at them in front of a crowd with microphones or and cameras around. That's amateur hour. That's something for us to do. That's something for Hog Twitter to do. That's something for the fans on SEC Network's comment section to do on Facebook. That's not for the athletic director to do. And then, to go out and basically say, yeah, we know we can't compete for a national championship. That's on you.
Mm-hmm.
Because when all this started, it was, look at us. We're the first to do this with the collective thing. And then season after season, excuse after excuse, it's, well, just wait till that revenue sharing. Well, just wait till that revenue sharing, and the playing field will be leveled out. Guess what? It's still not.
No.
It's not.
And
So
we've been preaching that all year.
Mhm.
It was SEC Unfiltered. Chris Phillips, we're talking. He's like, that's crazy if that's true. But we'll play the first clip because it's funny. We talk about we're not set up to compete for a national championship because we're not funding. But you go back to December, this is what Sam Pittman said.
We have money. Our donors have been very good financially to us. Revenue sharing coming up here in July. We have money. It's we're not losing these kids because we don't have money.
And then you fast forward to this week, and you have the comments that Hunter Yurachek said.
To win a national championship in men's basketball moving forward. We know we're set up to win a national championship in baseball moving forward, and I think we're set up in several other sports to win a national championship. Football, where we are right now, we're not set up to win a national championship. I'll just be brutally honest with that. But I think we're set up to compete really well in the Southeastern Conference, especially now with the new revenue sharing model.
And you feel that's directly related to directly related to finances. That's what you feel when you say that, correct?
Absolutely. It's directly related to finances and what programs were able to invest in their teams in the past.
Yeah. So which one is it? And whose fault? You've been here since 2017. And again, I'll just repeat what I've been saying. You have the biggest company in the world outside of Amazon in your back door. So is it the problem they don't want to invest in you, or you're greedy and you're putting it on your football field? You're wanting to do all these things. You have a raffle that you won't promote hardly, that we'll congratulate the newest winner here in a little bit, but it goes to the foundation. It doesn't go to the NIL. You've had multiple opportunities to get NIL money for this football team, but you refuse to do it. You said Walmart and Tyson aren't going to save the football team. You've said that. So it's your fault. If you can't get the name, you're an athletic director, and you're the only team in the state when it comes to big time college. I'm in sales. If I can't sell to there's no competition in your state. If you can't raise enough money and get these fans on board to believe in your program, then you are the problem. And here's what I think. I think even after all these years, he's not an SEC guy. And as much as we talk about they're not an Arkansas guy, he is not an SEC guy. He does not, to me, my opinion, after all these years, you do not realize, and you've still yet to grasp, that football is the king in SEC. Football is what gets it done. Yes, you want to be competitive in all your sports, but if you want to brag about the 80 that how many people are still congratulating Tennessee on their baseball championship? It's football in the SEC. You can win national championships, and we're not saying you need to win a national championship in football, but you've got to be competitive, and you're saying you're not. You're saying it's money, but then in December, Sam Pittman saying you have plenty of money, which clearly you don't. It really ticks me off.
Well, and it's one of those things too that if money is or isn't the issue, so let's just say money's not the issue. We'll backtrack this a little bit. Okay, money's not the issue, but we don't have the money. Okay, is it because boosters and such don't want to give more money because they don't believe in the product that we currently have, i.e., the current staff that we have. Because if that's the case, if I'm the boss and I can't sell these people who are giving money on what I currently have, which would be Sam Pittman, I would then have to look within myself and realize, hey, I'm probably going to have to make a change. Because kind of like we talked about with Sam Pittman and the coordinators previously, with Dan Enos, then Kendall Brile, decisions that had to be made to part ways. It's one of those things that Hunter Yurachek needs to look and say, okay, it's either going to be you or me.
Yeah.
So what do I have to do? I've got to get rid of you in order to keep my job, because I've got to get somebody that can come in here and win. And guess what? I'm not going to get money from the boosters and the donors until that change happens. So there's a whole lot of just like treading lightly, I feel like, from Hunter Yurachek, from Sam Pittman, and I totally get it, but at the same time, it's kind of like y'all both are saying things one month, and then the next month it's something else, another excuse. We see that too much in the world today, especially media, politics, whatever else. And the fact is, when you have the cameras on you, when you have microphones in front of you, screenshots, screen recordings, videos, etc., those things last forever.
Mm-hmm.
So all we have to do is go into a social media platform, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, whatever, type in a few keywords. Within seconds, minutes, whatever, we can find what we're looking for. So for 1 month, you to say that money's not the issue, that we're just needing to find the players to that fit what we need, that have the same ideals as us, that have the same this, that, and to less than a year later, 9 months later, it's money, but revenue sharing evens things out. But we've I think back in May, it was actually, let me pull, this is from quotes from May, but Best of Arkansas Sports quoted on it earlier. This is from Sam Pittman. I don't think there's been any question in the NIL era we didn't have the same amount of money, nor close to the same amount of money as a lot of teams that we're competing against. However, revenue share evens the playing field for everybody. Really?
It's not.
It's not. Because guess what? Texas Tech and Texas and Ohio State, it's all out there. They're all talking about, they're all boasting about the money that's being spent. If we were only worried about revenue sharing, we wouldn't know that this 2027 commit from Texas Tech got a $5 or $7 million guaranteed deal. We wouldn't know about that. But we do, because it's being talked about. You want to play by this rule. Okay, well, they said we could only do revenue sharing. We can't have this NIL, blah, blah, blah. And that's what we're going to stick to. And we're not going to go against this because we don't know how the rules are going to be enforced later in the future. No, forget that. Like, we're making excuses for why we suck at what we do, which is garnering NIL funds. Congratulations on the 2 days, before Memphis game, big game, which I know we still have a week out till the Notre Dame. Congratulations, you're at $28,000 on your Razorback raffle. Props, kudos.
That he boasted and said that people said that that's the thing. They had the big one, the very first one. And it's like, say, some people said we couldn't do that. So it's like almost he is being petty and doing it for himself. They did it one time real big. And then he's like, okay, that's enough. I proved I can do it. And then the rest, whatever. Because that's exactly what happened. How many times has he commented on the winner since then? And then you have their sounding board, their mouthpiece in the morning saying, yeah, they're not set up to win a national championship. But you all both, well, not all. There was one that said 5 and 7, but the other two was like 8, 9 wins. If you win 8 to 9 wins in the SEC, you have a legitimate shot at the college football playoff. And watching this team last week and watching their offense, you're not far behind. I said, yeah, they had the money to spend on half a football team because they have the offense. If you had a defense or if you win, yeah, we might not have this conversation, but you still lost the game. And what does that say to the players? We talked about last week on how much pressure that's putting on the offense to score 40 or 50 a game. And how long do they hold the pressure of picking up the slack for the defense? Well, what are they thinking? What are they thinking when they hear their head boss, their athletic director saying, well, we're not really set up to win a national championship? What's that saying to recruits? What's that people saying into the portal? Why come to Arkansas? Unless they're here for the money grab. Unless they're here to rob Arkansas, just like other coaches have taken advantage of Arkansas, John L. Smith, Chad Morris. These people just come in and took the money. They knew they're going to pay me $6 million. They got to pay me $6-7 million to leave. So what is it? The message and everything that he is getting from us and everybody else that, you know, and I will say, I've seen some things that was said about media, and there's a lot of good media out there. I'm saying the select media, the ones that are just right there, no matter what they say, they're saying the same things. They're not going out there and reporting. They're just regurgitating what the athletic director and what the University of Arkansas wants them to say. That's what the message they are, because they want to get on the hype train. And I want to see where this hype train is if they do win 5 games. They're just going to jump on the next train and preach what they want them to preach.
Yeah, they'll jump right into basketball season.
Yeah.
And they'll get on that. And which by all means, I mean, the high horse that comes with Arkansas basketball. Go for it. But you know, this is my last little, I guess, tidbit on what was said at the Little Rock Touchdown Club. Is here we were given a video. Whoever put it out, Arkansas social media, football, whatever. Before the season, I think it was before the season, before game 1, of Hunter Yurachek in the locker room, hyping up the team, talking about the schedule this and the schedule that, and you've got the toughest schedule, and you go out and do this, and you this, that, and the other. For you to go from that to what you said Monday at the Little Rock Touchdown Club, why would any one of those football players want to listen to whatever speech you had to give after that?
Mm-hmm.
Because all y'all have done since this offseason, since this last summer, is set this team up for possible failure, whether it's been talking about injuries from last year, whether it's been talking about how difficult the schedule is, and then now it's about money. All you're doing is setting these players up and setting the fans up, but I'm going to give this one to the players just as close, obviously, as they are to this whole thing. You've now, in my opinion, kind of slapped them in the face a little bit.
Yeah.
You've basically said, like, hey, we don't win, it's because of money. When before it was, no, go out and bust your ass and do this. It's just one of those things. If I was one of those players, I wouldn't want to listen to you.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, you look at Vanderbilt. Look what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You got a leader in Diego Pavia, but you also have people that believe in the system. You see Mississippi State's turning heads. Arkansas is turning heads on offense. Like I said in the first segment, it's crazy that we're talking about potentially them having the best offense in the country, and we're having to have, and that's what's so disrespectful to the offense. And we've been critical about the team, but I will give flowers when flowers are due. And I for right now, at this moment, I apologize to Sam Pittman. I apologize to the offense because you're subjected to this. But we got to call a spade, and if you're looking at this and you're seeing something happening that I even didn't think that was going to happen, we're seeing quick turnarounds in football teams now. We're seeing teams like, Vanderbilt not be a fluke from last year, and look what they're doing. Look what they did to South Carolina last year. Now, are they going to make it to the college football playoffs? We don't know, but there is a chance. What if they're a really good football team? How long has it taken Clark Lee to build that program? How many coaches have in the SEC have been here shorter than Sam Pittman, and their program is better than Arkansas is right now? Where is Arkansas right now when it comes to who you see in the SEC, 14th, 13th.
If you're 6 years in and that's where you're at, 11, 12, 13, or let's just go 12 through 16. If that's where you're at 6 years in, I don't see how you still have a job.
Yeah. And they preach, they boast off that 9-win year. And even my guy, you know, he's getting a lot of heat this year. And I'm honest. I am an honest fan when it even comes to my team. I'm tired of hearing, I've heard the same thing the last 5 years out of Dabo when it comes to, well, if you're not tired, look at all the times we won the ACC. The ACC is not the SEC. I understand conference championships, but if you're hanging your hat on conference championships and that's your goal, that's what you want to be proud of, but you have the chance to still be an elite program. Build off of what you did in 16 and 18, and you failed to do so because you didn't want to embrace those times. There's people that are saying if Sam Pittman goes away, they need to bring Dabo in. Absolutely not, because he shares the same values of the NIL as Hunter Yurachek does. He's not going to embrace it. He's not going to really, he thinks he can out recruit anybody now. You're not going to do it on recruiting alone anymore in college football, especially if they go to 16 teams, especially if they keep expanding the Big Ten and the SEC. It's not going to happen. Those days are over. And it's the same message. And it's the same message. I mean, that's one thing that we got on Sam about this week was, I don't know. I don't know how to answer this. And yes, I do feel for him. I feel sorry for him because if that's true, all this plays out where Hunter Yurachek's in that fourth lane, he's ready to go to the next spot. I feel bad for Pittman because if you're working for somebody that you're trying to make a difference and you really care about this state and the guy above you doesn't, or he's just worried about, you're talking about money. You've got plenty of money when it comes to your fundraising to put on the foundation. You got plenty of money in this raffle. Where's that $80,000 going? Where did that $150,000 go to when it comes to your raffle money? Where's that going to? So I don't know. It's one of the things we've had this conversation probably 3 times in the last year of our frustrations and stuff. And I think more people are starting to see this,
especially former players.
Yes. And
we've got that too.
You know, and I'm proud of him. We'll play this clip, before we wrap it up, but for him to go on TV and not hold back, that's what I'm proud of. Nobody's sugarcoating anything anymore. So kudos to everybody who is finally standing, the ones that have not been threatened to say what they want to say. The ones that have not been the selected media that they just go right with what they want them to be said because it's true. Talk to people. It's happened. But for Peyton Hillis to come on there and speak his mind from a true former player and a fan, major kudos to him. And for those who didn't see what he had to say, this is what he had to say on Pig Trail Nation.
And also, he's been one of the few that have been vocal, too, about the lack of welcoming back of former players, especially under the Brett Bielema regime.
Yeah.
That, they were never asked to come back. So I applaud Peyton Hillis for speaking out. And by all means, I think former players should. So here we go.
I'm kind of disgusted with a little bit of what he said, being a Razorback fan and being a Razorback itself. I want to feel like every year that my athletic director or my head coach is trying to go into it to win games. And when you come out and say we're not prepared for it, well, what have we been doing for the past few years? I respect him for coming out and speaking the truth. I think that was something that everybody was kind of thinking, but nobody ever says it. But something that kind of, like I said before, it's something that's kind of left out is why is that? Mm-hmm. Besides the money, why else do you think we're not competing at a high level? I mean, I would kind of like to know those answers. You know what I mean? Money is just an easy one you can throw out there and people are like, oh, okay. But as a fan, I think every fan in Arkansas is tired of excuses. We're tired of saying, hey, it's going to be like this year. We need to be so excited. You know what? Don't tell me, show me. Put your money where your mouth is and show me. That's what I think of when I'm an ex-athlete at the university and a fan.
Yeah, kudos. And the comment right here, Peyton Hillis, David, Baz, when they're fed up, Baz does the touchdown club. He does all these things. And for him to take the stance he's doing, asking the hard questions, that wasn't easy for him to ask. that wasn't easy for Peyton Hillis to go in front of the TV camera and say those things. He knew he was going to catch flack for it. But that's what they feel. That's what we feel. And, we've said this about Sam Pittman the past couple of years, and it's shifted. It's either piss or get off the pot. If you can't make this football program competitive in the SEC and compete for a college football playoff berth, leave and let somebody else do it. That's all I got.
It's been said on the show previously that you should be in the conversation of being in the playoff every 3-ish years. Mm-hmm. It's not in the playoff, but in the conversation of the playoff. You haven't been in 3 years. You deserve to be moved on from. And I think that's a reality that this program needs.
Yeah.
You know what? If you can't get us to the playoff, why are you here? That's it.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to turn into one of those things that, like Darren McFadden faced, runner up in the Heisman, and you have a mediocre team. And I feel bad. Taylon Green, he could end up being the leading rusher and passer on this team. He has a case to make it to New York. And is the defense and is what's going on behind the scenes going to keep him from that? That's what we'll look at in the next couple of weeks, the next 3-4 weeks, Notre Dame, and then by week and on. How long is this offense going to be able to carry this load? Are they good? And this is granted, everybody stays healthy. Taylon Green had that hamstring pull or whatever, lower extremity pull. So again, we're frustrated, but yet we feel bad for the team at the time because they have a 75% great team. And if they could just get better on the back end and have some success, but their defense right now, the way it is, and maybe I'm going to get proven wrong on Saturday on what I think about the defense and holding Memphis. If they let Memphis throw all over them and they can't get things going against Memphis, the rest of the season's it's going to be a long, long season.
100%. And, kudos to the Razorback Foundation and Hunter Yurachek for finally giving us the previous 2 winners after weeks of us asking who won. But right quick, we'll just roll our new intro into this series right quick.
Join me for these intriguing and fascinating cases on tonight's edition of Unsolved Mysteries.
Yes, and the winner, I mean.
Yeah. Oh, the conspiracy theory is still on because you have shown us who the last 2 winners have been. One out of North Little Rock, one out of Rogers. And it's one of those things that both of them, we just sit and look at and we're like, this just seems weird. And through less than 5 minutes of social media and Google, you see some ties to the University of Arkansas. Mm-hmm. One working for UAMS, and another one, being married to a guy with a well-to-do law firm in Northwest Arkansas, who's also president of a Razorback club of Rogers. Club. I just look at these things and I'm just like, coincidental that all of these winners fall right into that kind of, donor category.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they're buying up thousands of tickets.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe they're the only ones that are wanting to buy it. I mean, we could,
I've still yet to see, Rodney from Pine Bluff win. It's just one of those things that, there's just still something fishy about the whole raffle.
Yeah. I mean, it is, and you can't fool you anything, that's undetectable. So, you know what, they're making it easy for us to pick on it and we're having fun with it. But it's one of those things like you're saying you're broke and you do this raffle, but where's the money going? You're getting half of it. So where's the half? But it's all frustration. Look, we joke, we kid. And we like having fun. We want Arkansas to do well, and it's frustrating what we're seeing out of the offensive side of this, and then what we see out of the defense and then the athletic director's comments. It is frustrating. And if you're frustrating your core, which is your former players and your media that's been there for 40 years, I'm pretty sure, the stadium was built around Mike Irwin. For him to come out and say what he said, that they're not scared of the repercussions anymore, because now they have the power to say what they want to say. What are you going to do? Fire them? Well, they can just start their own platform and say what they want on their own platform. So if they're not saying it on their television station or on their radio waves, they'll do their own. So hot seats on. And it's one of the things that they could turn this all around, prove us all wrong. We could be having a totally different conversation here in the next couple of weeks. And if that's rightfully so, that's awesome, because we want this team. We want to see another Razorback being in the conversation to make they made it to New York. But what I will not do is we're playing this game by game. We're going off of conversations and comments. Is what's going to happen is, we're going to see these things, and then your brigade and you're going to come out and say you knew it all along. Don't sit there and say that you're not equipped to compete for a national championship. Then if you reel 7-8 wins, come back over the fence. We see that out of some media. They love sitting on that fence. We see it out of other people. Love sitting on that fence. So don't come at us with that you're not going to make me feel any different, because I'm going off what I see on the field and what you say. So you don't want us talking like that, but you want to, get on people for saying negative things about the university and how they feel about the football team and your leadership. But you're going out there and saying, what do you think is more harmful? The little old podcast like us saying your team is not good on defense, or you going to a touchdown club and saying they're not equipped for a national championship? Which one do you think heard more ears or reached more ears, us or you? So hypocrisy's real. And that's all.
People in a lot of comment sections of various groups talk about the recruits and the families of recruits and don't talk negative, this, that, and the other. But, your athletic director has had a video clip shared hundreds of times around social media. There's a lot more recruits that heard that than see comments and posts in private Facebook groups.
Yep.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
But good luck on Saturday, Razorbacks. Yes. We don't think that you're going to have issues Saturday.
No, not at all. And
so knock on wood. Funny. And yeah,
it's funny. Like, Adam, I want them to win. But part of me, and this is the petty part of me, is I don't want him to have the ability to put that on his resume. Is that wrong of me to say I want this team to do good, but yet if they turn this thing around, then Hunter's going to get all the credit, and I don't think he deserves the credit. Sorry.
I get that totally, and I share the same sentiment, but at the same time, we're talking about a guy who put a canceled bowl game.
That's true.
Hanging in the football stadium, so I think we're past that.
Well, and the irony of him saying he's in the slow lane, and then a previous head coach was talking about left lane hammer down.
Let's not talk about lanes anymore.
So
I don't think it's a good look.
You got anything else?
No. Go enjoy Thursday.
All right. Well, everybody have a great rest of the week. Again, ABC, 11 o'clock, Memphis on Saturday. I have a 21-point win for Arkansas. Adam, same sentiment. We see not a close game. Let's take this momentum into the Notre Dame game, barring y'all play lights out, the defense steps up, and not let what that guy said bother you. You prove us all wrong. Go out there and win 8-9 wins. Prove us all wrong. Go to a good bowl game where you can take that canceled one off and you replace it with a regular bowl game. Taylor Green, you get to New York, and that's what we'll win the season. So for Adam Hall, I'm Porter Hayes. I want to thank all of our sponsors for listening to us. Another episode of the Hog Talk podcast presented to you by FanDuel, and we will catch you on Sunday night.